Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 30 days of unlimited social messaging, 10 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, and 1,000 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $100. Keep your number when you switch to St. Kitts' most reliable LTE network. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
In the top stories, tourism stakeholders discuss plans to reopen bars and restaurants. CSEC and Cape students in Jamaica return to school, and security forces accused of fatal lockdown crackdown in South Africa. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Thursday, June 11th, 2020. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Nationally, tourism stakeholders came together at the Marriott Resort on Wednesday to discuss with members of the COVID-19 task force plans to reopen the economy, beginning with the reopening of bars and restaurants. For months, bars and restaurants have been closed to prevent people from gathering and spreading the coronavirus. But now the health authorities are advising the reopening of these businesses with specific guidelines in place. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Caroline Henry Morton, said it is very important to let the science guide the decision-making when reopening bars and restaurants.
There must be a science-based approach to reopening of the sector, as the COVID-19 pandemic is primarily a health crisis and must be handled foremost by the health professionals and persons with the required expertise in disease prevention and control. All of the countries or states that have been coping with COVID-19 with high levels of success, or who have managed to control its spread, have adopted a science-based approach.
She said there must be a gradual phased opening of the tourism sector, and all individuals must follow the safety protocols and standards that will be put in place and enforced. Meanwhile, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws gave information on the nature of coronavirus, how it is spread, and measures that bars and restaurants can take to restrict its spread. She also emphasized that going to a restaurant and bar is a social event which can lead to the spread of the disease.
When patrons and customers come to a bar and restaurant, they like to sit down and talk and, laugh and really share. But we need to remember that even in doing so, individuals run the risk of emitting droplets that can be viral laden. When you look at the science coming out of China and Europe, a number of persons who were diagnosed with COVID-19, when they were interviewed by their medical practitioner, they were able to state that they picked it up at restaurant X or Y.
During the discussion, the participants looked at models used in other Caribbean countries and added their own input to shape a policy that could be used for St. Kitts and Nevis. The final set of guidelines will be laid out in a forthcoming statutory rules and orders legislation. And in other news, persons interested in filling teaching positions are invited to submit applications to the Ministry of Education. Forms are available at the Department of Education Services at the Stanford Building or the Ministry of Education Administrative Office on the third floor of the Cable Building. All applicants will be required to attend a 2-week pre-service seminar which starts Monday, July 13th to Friday, 24th July. Applicants who wish to be considered for teaching at the early childhood of primary level must have at least 5 CSEC subjects, including English language, mathematics, a social science subject, that is, history or social studies or geography, and a science subject. Individuals who wish to be considered for teaching at the secondary level must possess at least 5 CSEC subjects, including English language and the relevant passes at Cape level or above. Applicants who are shortlisted to participate in the pre-service seminar or workshop will be required to sit a literacy and numeracy test. The deadline for applications is Friday, June 19th, 2020. On the regional scene, CSEC and Cape students in Jamaica are back in the classrooms amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, and they are having to adjust to the relevant measures implemented by school administrators. We hear more in this report.
Since March, students have had to adapt to a virtual learning environment in preparation for exams, with no clear date on when they will be held. Now a timetable has been set. Secondary schools opened to accommodate classes for upcoming exams. School administrators have implemented the relevant measures in preparation for students' return to the classroom. From what we have observed, desks and chairs have been placed 6 feet apart and the students have been wearing their mask. The only major concern now is whether in the coming days students will adhere to the protocols in place and practice social distancing. It is for this reason that State Minister in the Education Ministry, Orlando Terrelong, visited schools in St. Catherine on Monday to assess their preparedness.
We would have provided funding to ensure that the schools that they have their sanitization equipment and everything else. We would have started about 2 weeks ago the deep cleansing or the sanitization of our schools as well.
He says safe zones have also been placed at schools where students can remove their mask and maintain social distancing. Now, while the State Minister has made this assessment, the leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, made it a point of duty to evaluate the state of schools in the corporate area.
I think our main challenge as a country is to reassure them, encourage them, so that they don't find that because of the accident of this event occurring when they have CXC.
Phillips believes that there is still room for improvement and infrastructure development at schools across the island. However, for now, classes for students will continue up to July 27 when CSEC and Cape exams begin. Khadija Thomas, CBM Live.
The police officer and 3 soldiers accused of killing a man in Antigua have been remanded, but lawyers want them to be held in a camp rather than prison. We hear more in this ABS News report.
Supporters of Bruce Greenway's family quietly displayed placards demanding justice outside the courthouse Monday morning. The door to the courtroom heavily guarded by police officers. Their colleague, 44-year-old police constable Jason Modest, is one of the 4 suspects charged with murder. The other accused, 25-year-old Lance Corporal Shaquille Thomas, and 2 20-year-old privates, Amal Warner and Liam Martin, are members of the Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force. They are swiftly led into the courtroom as officers stand as barrier between them and the public. Given the nature of the offense, the accused know bail will not be an option at the magistrate's court. However, their lawyer, Lawrence Daniel, pleads for his clients to be separated from the prison population and asks the magistrate to order Camp Blizzard as remand location. Prosecutor Inspector Dane Buntiff disagrees, saying the superintendent of prisons should be the one to decide where the accused law enforcers are held. Magistrate Nayo Emmanuel Edwards, who believes the suspects will be safe in the maximum security wing, remands the security officers to Her Majesty's prison. Attorneys Kendrickson Kentish and Gail Christian held brief in the court on behalf of Greenway's family members, 2 of whom were also in the court. As quickly as they entered, the suspects are ushered back into the police bus, which is escorted by other police vehicles as it leaves the courthouse. Of course, the accused still have the option of applying for bail in the High Court, pending committal proceedings, which are set for September 23. From the District B Magistrates Court, I am Jamie J. Roche reporting for ABS News.
On the international scene, security forces in South Africa are being accused of using excessive force while implementing coronavirus lockdown measures. Here's more.
To try to curb the spread of coronavirus, South Africa imposed one of the strictest lockdowns in the world. Along with it came the deployment of the police and army, and accusations of the abuse of power. In mobile footage, this man is forced to hop by a soldier after being found outside his home. Lockdown restrictions only allow people to leave their homes for food, medicine, and essential services. Sibusiso Amos was allegedly shot and killed by security personnel working with police at his home in Vosloorus on Johannesburg's East Rand. His cousin Ntombikayise Amos says Sibusiso was shot behind this burglar gate during a police raid on the area. Ntombikayise says the officer forced his way into the yard after a confrontation with Sibusiso at the front gate.
He came inside, got to the yard area. I locked my cousin inside the veranda area. He wasn't confrontive, he wasn't attacking him. He literally pulled a gun on somebody who was just standing there staring at him. That is murder.
2 houses away, Simpiwe Biku says during the same raid, police kicked in his door and shot him twice with rubber-coated steel bullets. Last month, the High Court ordered an end to police and army brutality, saying torture or degrading punishment must stop. It came after another man, Collins Khosa, died after allegedly being beaten by security forces.
There's absolutely no doubt that poor black people bear the brunt of police brutality in South Africa. It's not by design in the sense that the police set out in the morning to target poor black people, but it is by design in the sense that apartheid spatial geography means that the areas where the police are deployed are the areas where poor people on the margins of social and political life in South Africa live.
Both deaths are under investigation. In the case of Collins Khosa, a preliminary report says the army did nothing wrong, while a security officer has been charged with the murder of Sibusiso Amos.
Dozens of complaints against the military include the use of excessive force, physical abuse, murder and brutality. An independent body which monitors police abuse has registered 39 cases, with accusations that at least 6 people were killed by police.
2 months after the coronavirus lockdown began, soldiers and police are still on the streets, despite the easing of restrictions. And for many, a court having to compel security forces to respect the rights of people has been just as shocking as the violence itself. Famida Miller, Al Jazeera, Johannesburg.
A massive wave of COVID-19 disinformation has hit social media during the pandemic. The EU claimed on Wednesday. Brussels said false information about the virus can prove deadly and wants to strengthen its response to the problem. Here's more.
The EU has seen massive flow of disinformation around COVID-19, according to EU reports. Now the bloc wants tech giants to step up the battle to fight fake news. Some of the biggest tech giants, including Google, Facebook and Twitter, have agreed to publish monthly reports detailing the nature of the fake news on coronavirus shared on their channels, including its origin and targeted audience. The Commission wants all the most popular platforms on board.
Citizens need to know how information is reaching them and where it comes from. I am also pleased to announce that TikTok confirmed to me they are joining the EU Code on Disinformation and will very soon conclude the formalities. We are also now negotiating with WhatsApp.
The EU says disinformation not only harms citizens' health, but also democracy. Brussels has also accused Beijing and Moscow of disinformation campaigns targeting Europe for geopolitical gains.
As for the actors and the foreign actors and foreign forces, we are clearly mentioning Russia and China, and we have sufficient evidence to do such a declaration. It's very well evidence-based.
Some experts think the Commission should go a step further and update laws to ensure that private companies are held to account.
They've kept pushing back the responsibility to moderate, to downrank, to take offline harmful information and even illegal information back to the very companies that are creating the problem. And so any solution coming out of the EU that continues the trend of privatized policing of speech online is a big problem, in my opinion. It is high time that rule of law-based principles become the leading anchors against which we look at content moderation, and that there's much more transparency about what companies do, and at the end of the day, accountability.
At present, tech giants are participating in campaigns to police disinformation online on a voluntary basis. Laura Ristrullols for Euronews.
And now for the weather. Present weather shows cloudy skies. A gentle breeze of 8 miles per hour is blowing from the east. Today's temperature will peak at 28 degrees Celsius. That's 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Expect cloudy spells with a high chance of showers and a slight chance of thunderstorms for today. And partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of showers tonight. Sunset today will be at 6:45 p.m. and the sun is expected to rise tomorrow at 5:36 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. I am your presenter, Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 30 days of unlimited social messaging, 10 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, and 1,000 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $100. Keep your number when you switch to St. Kitts' most reliable LTE network. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.